So hopefully in a second, I will pop up on your screen and we will be able to get started with this call. It's actually been delayed a week because I very surprisingly made my way to Summit with literally no warning. And I actually had Miguel Crosco, who came up to me and he's like, all right, so I know social media, like we say, oh, it's a surprise. I didn't have any clue I was going, but did you really, like, you planned it? No. I legitimately, on Wednesday, when everybody was arriving and posting their pictures of all this exciting stuff that was going on, hugging the people that they hadn't seen in a year and stuff, sitting there watching, having serious FOMO, and kind of venting to Billy, my husband, saying like, oh, it just stinks not to be there. It's like so weird. I feel like I'm not a coach. And he just threw it out and was like, you should go. And I said, like, are you crazy? I can't go. It, like, have nothing to wear. My hair was all messed up. I'm like still losing weight from the baby. Beyond that, didn't have an airline ticket, didn't have a hotel. We have 3 kids, you know, 2 under a year and a half. Who's gonna take? You're gonna take care of them by yourself? I haven't even taken care of the 3 by myself. But lo and behold, we pulled it together. And I kind of wish now that I've left, I realized I had this awesome race suit that they gave us. I should have worn that for the closing ceremonies. That would have been pretty awesome. But anyway, I got to see some of you guys there, and it was a complete whirlwind. What an amazing, Summit should be something that every single one of you experiences at some point. If you have not registered for next year, one of the commitments that you can make to yourself to really push your business forward is just to go and buy the ticket, get your hotel locked in, and make that your end goal. Like, make that the thing that you're pushing towards the entire year. Because my very first Summit, I roomed with 5 other girls to be able to afford it. We weren't making great money yet. And I bought a ticket, I think it was a few $100s, and I put it on a credit card and made sales. I made a sales goal based on being able to pay that back, and rented clothes from Rent the Runway because I couldn't afford fancy dresses. And I just made it happen. And it was the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. And that was about a year into my business. So it would literally be what you guys are doing right now, making it a year ahead of time, where you have all this time to set goals. You can put $50 a month in an account that could be your savings for the event. And I think if you really push towards it, you won't even have to use that money because you'll already be making enough with your Beachbody income to more than pay for it. So anyway, just want to throw that out there. Before I throw it over to Brad, I just want to let you know that we've had Brad on the call before, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Like, everybody afterwards was going nuts about how on fire they felt. And he asked if we would have him again, and I was like, oh my gosh, absolutely. Brad is a mindset coach. He is someone who really focuses on the things that hold you back from doing what you already are capable of doing. Because at the end of the day, we are already positioned and put with the talents that we need to be able to thrive in this business. It's just the talk, that little voice in the back of your head oftentimes talks you out of the greatnesses that are already in you. So hopefully Brad is going to help knock that out of you and leave you super inspired to go and tap into that, which is already in you. So I will throw it over to Brad Bizjack because he's absolutely phenomenal, one of my favorite people within the coach realm, and he's been able to help so many people to do that. So Brad, I'll throw it over to you, and you take it away, my friend.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and present with your team, Lindsay. I don't take that opportunity lightly, and my goal is to bring you guys just so much value tonight. And it's just like Lindsay said, we already are equipped with all of the things that we need to really achieve our goals. Everything that we want, we're equipped with it already. It's just that we sometimes get caught up in here. And my goal tonight is to help you truly master your mindset and to overcome any sort of negative self-talk that's getting in the way of you achieving the things that you really want out of your life and business. And I say life and business because this isn't just about hitting the next rank or recruiting the next teammate. This is about your life too. So as we go through this stuff, don't just picture your business, picture your husband, picture your wife, picture your kids. And most of the time, that one little aha moment that's going to transform your business will also transform your relationships too. So I'm curious, and type in the YouTube chats and all this, I can go look at it afterwards. What's a really big goal that you have coming out of Summit? You're coming out of Summit right now. You've got the fire, the energy, but something that you might not know is that the energy of Summit doesn't stay throughout the whole year. right? We feel hyped up from that event, and we need to find the fire from within when that energy from the event kind of goes away. And there's a recipe to making that happen. So think about the goal that you have. There's a recipe to make that goal happen. And you know your basic business building activities, right? You know what you're supposed to do. You learned about them in your basics group and all that stuff. That's your recipe. You already know that. But what some people might be missing is the way that we go about using our ingredients. That's what matters most. So what does that mean? You could invite 1 billion people, but if your mindset is off, you'll actually repel them, even though your numbers are super high. You could pour hours and hours and hours into supporting your clients in a challenge group. But if your mindset is off, they won't actually feel like you're trying to help them, but instead get something from them. So what goes on in your mind, your self-talk, your mindset is by far and above the most important piece of all of it. And you've heard that before, right? But instead of just knowing it, I'm going to show you how to apply that, especially when you hit a place when you don't really want to apply it. We all get in those slumps, right? And before I get into it, I want to share a couple quick, pretty vulnerable stories with you. And after those stories, I'm going to show you how taking limiting beliefs and negative self-talk, how you can turn that into an amazing tool for success and for happiness. So growing up, I had an emotional roller coaster of a childhood, and it gave me some pretty limiting beliefs about how life is. And it completely screwed with my success and my belief in my own abilities. And I'm curious, can you relate to the topic of money stress, right? I know that your leader, Lindsay, went through a story when she was growing up, when she dealt with stuff like that. And I'm curious, can you relate to the topic of money stress? I remember growing up, my parents would fight about money almost every single day. There was always some sort of limitation, some form of we can't afford that, or some form of you spent how much on what? And I remember witnessing screaming matches between my parents, and I never quite understood why. And I remember one time I was probably 10 years old, and it was a particularly bad fight between my parents about why the bank account was overdrawn that time. And there were swear words being thrown around and from both ends. And I said, why do you guys have to fight about stupid money? I was just a little kid. Why do you guys have to fight about stupid money? And my mom snapped. And she was telling me to shut the F up, go to my room. And right then my dad came over. And I remember vividly my dad coming over and taking a bottle of soap and sort of pouring that soap down her neck for talking that way in front of us. And I tell you that for a reason. I'll get to that point in a second. But my little brother and I are sitting there crying, and we don't know what to do. We don't know if we should be mad at mom for saying mean things or mad at dad for, taking the argument up a level. We don't know what to do. And that memory is engraved in my head. And it has been the rest of my life since that moment. I just hated money because whenever it came up, it seemed like someone was about to get punched in the face. And that never happened, obviously. But all the stress around it made me genuinely hate and fear money. And you pair that with the weekly overdrafts and the day-to-day fights and never having a peaceful Christmas or birthday and always saying no to vacations because of money and seeing my parents struggle even to this day. And eventually their divorce happened. I believe that money was bad. I believe that it made you a bad person. I believe that it tore relationships apart. And money is the reason why it took me 6 years to propose to my wife, who's right behind this wall, by the way. I was afraid that if we got married and had money, it would rip us apart. And on top of the money situation, I had a pretty turbulent relationship with my mother. And I just want to preface that by saying I love my mom. I love her so much. She's a very good person. And I've gone through the forgiveness process of all the pain from my childhood. But getting to that point took some time because I was so angry and I was sad. And I didn't really realize it at the time that she was loving me the only possible way she knew how at the time, which was her needing complete control in the moment. And I had just this memory drilled into my head like it was yesterday. I'd be laughing and joking on the school bus coming home from school, and my stop would be coming up. And I could see my house coming from a couple blocks away, and I'd start to get all nervous and uncomfortable. And the bus driver would pull up, and I'd take my blue backpack across the grass, and I'd get to the garage door, I'd punch in the 4-digit code, and I'd walk through it, and right when I got into the garage, I was instantly hit by this overwhelming smell of smoke, like cigarette smoke. And I walked in the door, and I see my mom on her computer playing Bejeweled. It's a computer game or something. And she was playing it with her right hand, and she had a cigarette in her left hand. And sometimes I wouldn't even get a hello. And other times I was greeted with a hug and a kiss and a smile. And other times I was sent to my room without knowing why. And other times I was screamed at. And I was so confused. And I remember thinking to myself, why doesn't my mom love me? Right? And obviously she did. Obviously she did. There just wasn't consistency there. But as a kid, you don't know what to think. And that's just one example, but I grew up craving her love and never quite feeling like I was enough. I never felt worthy. I never felt like I deserved someone loving me for myself. And that screwed with how I live my life. I felt like kind of like a chameleon. I'd change who I was depending on the peer group I was in just to feel accepted. I just wanted to be the center of attention and up on stage because it helped me feel loved and accepted when, smiling eyes were actually on me. I never felt like I was enough. And you might have a different story. You probably do. But where can you relate in that? The reason I tell you that is that's where my limiting beliefs formed. And I wonder what your story is. There's a couple stories from your past that left an imprint on you. What limiting beliefs or beliefs do you have now because of something that happened years ago that you haven't forgiven or forgotten yet? When we're little, we're very impressionable, and it's in those times that our beliefs about ourselves and our abilities start to take shape. See, when I started my business 5 years ago, it didn't matter how many people I invited. It didn't matter how many social media posts I put up. It didn't matter how many team calls I signed up for speaking on. It was always the same. My bank account was always overdrafting. My paychecks were a couple $100 a week. And I'd always feel like I was just skating by. And I was always seeing that red font show up on chase.com showing that I was overdrafted by 49 cents. And I measured my worth by the number of successful people that knew my name. I became friends with a woman named Autumn Calabrese. I'm sure you guys know who that is, because I thought that being friends with someone successful made me just a touch worthier and that I was finally enough. And I remember 3 to 4 years ago, Lindsay, you're going to laugh at this, when I met this incredible woman named Lindsay Matway. And I remember meeting her, and I got this opportunity to be the guest. I got her to be the guest speaker on my team call. And I felt this touch of worthiness. And I felt like because this incredibly successful person with all this, abundant lifestyle knew who I was and cared about me, that I finally mattered. We do stuff like that sometimes, right? We all do that. We just want to be noticed and cared for. And my clients and my friends ask me all the time why I decided to start a mindset coaching business. And sure, I wanted financial freedom. I wanted that success. I wanted that lifestyle of being my own boss and creating a life by design. But the real reason I started my business is because I finally want to feel unconditional love for myself. I wanted to feel worthy. I wanted to finally stop changing who I was. I wanted to finally be nice to myself. And my business was a tool in doing that. So why do I tell you all that in story form? I have a reason for that. And because when I tried to build a business, the overwhelming amount of negative self-talk stopped me in my tracks. I'm sure you've experienced that before. And I found a way to overcome it that I want to share with you tonight. And if you want to change your business and your life like I did, like Lindsay did, there are a few things that you can do. So take notes on this, write them down, and share with me after what you got out of this call. The first is to rewire the supercomputer of your mind, to rewire what's going on up here. And what do I mean by that? You start to tell yourself these stories, right? Money is bad. Eating healthy is hard. I can't find a loving partner. My kids are idiots. I'm not enough. And if you say a story enough times, you start to believe it, right? Have you ever told a story so many times over the years that the details of your story that you tell at like parties aren't even real anymore, or the details of the stories you tell with your best friends aren't even real? You just have told that story so many times that you start to believe it. And you believe it anyways, and you tell that story with so much conviction and enthusiasm. The same thing happens with negative self-talk. Only instead of it being a fun party topic, it sabotages your business and your life. So let's call these disempowering beliefs your default software. We go through life believing that negative self-talk, we believe that negative self-talk in our mind. And have you ever been sitting there on the couch just wondering why you're being so mean to yourself, but you don't know how to fix it? So let's learn how to fix that right now. The first thing you need to know is that you're not broken and nobody needs to fix you. We just need to rewire what's going on up here in the supercomputer. We need to change that default software. We have to believe that we're enough, and we have to believe that we're important. We have to believe that we can make an impact. And you do that by changing your questions. Better questions, write this down. Better questions annihilate negative self-talk. And I'm curious if you ever faced a point in your life where you've had to convince yourself that you're good enough. You try to convince yourself you're good enough or that you deserve something great, but you never really believe it. Like you want to believe it, but you just don't. Have you ever experienced something like that? It's like if you do a vision board and you write you put all the cool things on your vision board and all the beautiful house and the car and all that stuff, but there's that little devil back here that goes, yeah, right, dude, right? You know what I'm talking about? You can barely hear him. He's just whispering that doubt and insignificance into your subconscious mind, but he's back there. You know exactly what I'm talking about when you do those vision boards and you don't think it's possible. So we're going to change that thinking. To do that, let's figure out what thinking is. Thinking is nothing more than the process of asking yourself questions, right? That's what thinking is. See, if you focus on asking yourself bad questions, you're going to get bad answers. If you focus on asking great questions, you're going to get great answers. See, the mistake that I made was that I just thought that if I work harder, it's going to work out. And yeah, you got to work really hard at your business if you want it to work. But there's a point where you're pulling 12 to 15 hour days, 2 years in, and nothing's happening, where you start to wonder what's up, right? So when you focus on what you don't want, those are the seeds of doubt and skepticism and pain. And those thoughts grow in your mind like weeds. And I'll give you an example in a second, but remember what Jim Rohn said. If you guys haven't listened to the audio, Jim Rohn's Building Your Network Marketing Business, I highly, highly recommend it. He said, stand guard at the gates of your mind or weeds will grow automatically. And ask yourself this right now, just do it. Close your eyes and say to yourself, why am I not enough? Just ask yourself that question right now. Even if you have an incredibly successful business, ask yourself, why am I not enough? And listen to all the answers that you find start pouring out of you. How motivated do you think you're going to feel when you focus on that? Right? Like you're not going to feel motivated at all. And even when you read happy, inspirational, motivational, positive thinking books, you still have that voice in your head that says you're not good enough. Everyone here today on this call has limiting beliefs. We all do. And if you don't think that you have limiting beliefs, that in itself is a limiting belief. I shared a couple stories a minute or two ago about what my biggest limiting beliefs are and where they come from. But what are yours? How many of you have had thoughts like this? Like, why don't I have enough money? Or why can I never get it right? Or why am I so lonely? Or why don't people like me? Or how come I always mess it up? Or why am I so fat? Or why is it so hard to lose weight? Or why am I so broke? Or why can I never catch a break? Why does it always seem so much easier for other people? Why can't I do anything right? Why am I so unhappy? Have you ever said stuff to yourself like that? Like, seriously, are you being an asshole to yourself like that? Sorry about the language, but honestly, like, are you? It doesn't feel very good to ask yourself those questions, right? I bet it leads to a lot of pain, a lot of procrastination, and you're sitting there looking at your life, frustrated with the results you're getting, but we still ask ourselves those questions all the time. And even coming back from Summit, no matter how much someone tells you, you can have success with your business, and no matter how many people tell you they believe in you, and no matter how many times you see other people like you achieving really big things, you might still have that little voice in your head that says, no, you can't, dude. Did you know what I'm talking about, or am I crazy? So when you set a goal, your dominant beliefs, what goes on in here, your self-talk, your dominant beliefs will determine if that goal will come true. And setting goals, think about this, setting goals is nothing more than trying to create a new reality as opposed to your current reality. That's what goal setting is. You're trying to change your current reality. But there's a gap between those two places. And what I learned from Noah St. John in the Book of Affirmations is called that's called your belief gap. And until you actually believe that you can do something, it's going to be really hard to create that new reality. So have you ever felt that even though it would be life-changing to achieve a goal, you just don't believe it's possible? Well, we can change that with better questions. Your entire life can be changed by asking yourself more empowering questions. So when you ask yourself a question, your brain will automatically search for the answer. So ask yourself this: why can I never save money? Just ask it in your mind right now. Why can I never save money? What did you do? Did you notice your brain was actually looking for an answer for that question? Even if you're wealthy and you're on this call right now, you still looked for an answer. And just like Google, it spits out all the reasons why you're broke or why you should be broke. What about your limiting belief that we talked about earlier? I'll use mine. Why won't I ever be enough to achieve success? Ask yourself that right now in your mind. If you close your eyes and you ask yourself, why won't I ever be enough to achieve success? What did you do? Your brain was actually looking for the answer, right? Even if you're incredibly successful, you start to question yourself. That's how insidious negative self-talk really is. So what if you intentionally reverse that? And this is your takeaway from this piece here. If your responses are just like a Google search engine, that means that whatever you type in, you're going to get an answer to. So let's change what we type in. Your brain is going to look for the answer to whatever the heck you're asking it, consciously or subconsciously anyways. So you might as well ask it an intelligent question that's going to lead to a better life. If you're wired for unhappiness and stress and anxiety, that means one thing. It means that lately you've probably been asking some pretty poor questions and getting pretty poor results. Asking, why is it so hard to build my business? Think about what your brain does. It finds all the reasons why it's so hard to build a business, and that's what you focus on. So you never find the answer to your biggest challenges. And when you sit down to work, your brain is looking for every reason that you're not capable. So you don't send the invites. You scroll Facebook instead. You don't support your clients. You wonder why more aren't coming to you. And here's what's crazy. There are incredible people that stumble across your life and amazing opportunities to learn and grow that stumble across your life every single day. But if your software is running on the question of why is this so hard, self-sabotage is going to step in and you won't even notice those incredible opportunities sitting right in front of you. If you're not where you want to be, you're literally getting what you're asking for because you're asking bad questions. Do you see the power in this? So let's change it up. Ask yourself this question right now. Why is it so easy to change thousands of lives? Close your eyes and ask yourself that question. Why is it so easy to change thousands of lives? What happens? You still look for the answer. And even if you're brand new, you find all the reasons why you can do this. So try this. Ask yourself, why is it so easy to rank advance this week? What happened? You still looked for the answer, right? And you start to focus on the opportunities, the people, whatever, to reach out that you can reach out to, the sacrifices you can make to build your business faster and stronger. Can you imagine if you filled your mind with empowering questions every single day? And here's the key. You don't need to have the answer to the question that you ask. You just need to live in the question that leads you towards the life that you want. Because when you're in that right state of mind and you know what you want and the direction you want to go, the how is going to reveal itself. You'll figure it out. Always remember that. You don't need to know how. You need to know why. And that how will reveal itself. But live in that empowering question. You're going to start to be guided towards what you want. Write this down. Every problem you face is simply a question that hasn't been answered yet. That's it. That's it. When we get all worked up, every problem you face in your business is just a question that hasn't been answered yet. That is it. And it's that simple. So for your life and your business, write down all the negative stuff that you ask yourself all the time. Why am I so broke? Why is my business not growing fast enough? Why am I stuck? Why am I so fat? Why does my husband always annoy me? Whatever it is, go through and make a list after this call of all the disempowering things that you say to yourself. And I want you to flip all those on its head. Turn those questions into, why is it so easy to blank? Or why am I so wealthy? Or why is my business booming? Or why is it so easy to lead my team? Or why am I such a great leader? Want to know the two questions that changed my life? I'm going to tell you them right now. Why am I so kind to myself? And why am I so worthy of living an awesome life? Those questions changed my life. And it's amazing how much easier life can get when you're just 1% nicer to yourself. Write that down. It's amazing how much easier life can get when you're just 1% nicer to yourself. And what I want you to do is take those new empowering questions, put them on Post-its all over your house, record them, listen to them while you sleep, set reminders in your phone, reprogram that default software and flood it with the right questions. That's one of the steps I took to rewire all that negative self-talk from those stories I told you about. Your life will change if you do this. That's a promise to you. This is one of the things that completely changed everything for me. Think about it. You're planting new thought seeds and you're watering them daily with a question. And all of a sudden you stopped watering all those disempowering plants, so to speak, and those disempowering weeds die in your garden. Now the only plants that you water are the flowers. And pretty soon, in less time than you think, your garden is going to be absolutely gorgeous. It's blooming with so many different colors and plants, and it's giving your life oxygen again. Because in your life, you're going to experience some pain sometimes, right? Write this down. Pain in your life is guaranteed. It's coming. But when you have an empowering question at your side, suffering from that pain can be your choice. It's up to you. And it's optional. So I want to give you 2 more master tools in changing your mindset, mastering your mindset, and eliminating negative self-talk. And the first tool is so simple, and it's what I give all my clients, and it's how to change how you feel in an instant. I call it the secret sauce, but you might know it as genuine gratitude. That's it. Think about it. Gratitude is a skill that can be learned. It's a practice you can choose to do. And I thought gratitude was a crock of shit for a long time, but it's so real and it changed my life. And think about this. Try to feel totally defeated and smiling really big in the mirror at the same time. It's impossible. Gratitude will beat fear 100% of the time. Write this down. It is impossible to feel pain when you're deeply grateful, because in your life, you're going to experience pain. Pain, like I just said, pain in your life is guaranteed. It's coming. There will be hard things that happen, but suffering from that pain is your choice. It's up to you and it's optional. And I don't mean gratitude where you say things like, yeah, I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. I mean where you feel genuine gratitude. Gratitude attracts people to you. They want to be part of your life. Opportunities, things, solutions, situations come to you so much faster because you're grateful for what you already have. You attract the most amazing things in your life when you appreciate the life that you already have. The issue is that most of us don't take time to realize how lucky we truly are. Think about this. You're watching a video right now on a computer or a smartphone about gratitude from literally anywhere in the world. You're probably on a couch in a safe apartment or house, right? You probably have a cozy blanket over you right now. You probably are wondering what you're going to have on date night Friday night or where you're going to go. You're probably going to drive your car to your job tomorrow and pull into that parking lot of the company where you make a great living and provide for your family. You might take your kids, to the doctor tomorrow to get medical care. You might take your dog, right, to the vet and get it treated for hot spots on his arm, right? All these little things. You'll probably go home and watch, your Apple TV after this and watch a movie, and all that most of us take for granted. When there's a mother out there who just watched her baby starve to death today, when there are people out there injecting needles into their arms to cope with pain, when there are countries that still live with communism, right? We're so accustomed to miracles happening around us every single day that we don't even see them as miracles anymore. Most of us, we view miracles as scarce, and we don't appreciate how literally everything around us was once just a thought or an idea. Your computer was once an idea, right? And which proves that you can create miracles at any second, right? The life that Lindsay, your leader, is living right now was once an idea that she had. It was once an idea that she had, and now it's reality, right? That miracle is something she created. You can do the same thing. We have a tendency to let go of gratitude and make it a rule that you can only feel gratitude if something happens. And that's setting yourself up for suffering. Nothing has to happen for you to feel good, nothing. And as long as you structure your life in a way where your happiness is dependent upon something you can't control, then you'll never be truly fulfilled the way that you desire. Even if you have a ton of success, right? You could be truly winning at life right now and feel like you're losing because your scorecard that you're keeping is unfair because it only allows you to feel happy if something happens. And achievement without gratitude is total failure. Think about that. Put that in your notes for a second. Achievement without gratitude is total failure. Remember, it's impossible to feel pain when you're grateful. So if you live in the US or Canada or the UK, and you're in the bottom 1% of those countries, yes, the bottom 1%, you're actually in the top 1% of the world. You're breathing, you're alive. That should be enough to smile about. And if you're smiling, business becomes way easier when you're having a damn good time. Life without gratitude is misery. If you love life, nothing is worth being ungrateful for. We stress so much and forget the things to be thankful for. When you're grateful, you open up the gateway to a great life. And lots of us have these high expectations, right? Our spouse, our kids, our sales, your invites, whatever they are, the way that something with one of your challenge groups should go. And when your life conditions, how life is, doesn't align with what you expect them to be, you get frustrated, right? Almost like we have these expectations or rules of what needs to happen in order to be successful and happy. And I challenge you to let that go. Tony Robbins has this quote that I absolutely love. It's trade your expectations for appreciations and your life changes instantly. Write that down. Trade your expectations for appreciations and your life changes instantly. So I have a challenge for you. Every morning before your feet hit the floor, I challenge you to do a gratitude exercise. Take 10 minutes. It can be journaling. It can be a video. It can be a meditation. It can be a guided meditation. It can be just straight up appreciation. But your view of life literally determines your future. So every single day, you should condition your mind to focus on being grateful. Practice that. And slowly, the anxiety, the overwhelm, any depression, any fear, negative self-talk, you're going to start to not notice it as much. And you're going to become excited about life every single day. I went through a period of time where I knew what I wanted so bad, but I would find myself on the couch binge watching TV, having these bad days, like 4 days a week, right? It was terrible. And I was just depressed. And even worse, I was pissed off that I was depressed. I was immobilized. I knew exactly what I needed to do. Like my computer was staring at me to do it, but I just didn't care. But at the same time, I cared so much. And it hurt. And from practicing genuine gratitude, real gratitude, those periods of overwhelm and depression and anxiety and fear and other negative emotions started to happen once or 2 times a week instead of 4 times a week. Then a month or so later, it was 1 time a week. Then a couple months later, it was 1 time every 2 weeks, then 1 time a month, then 1 time every 3 months, then 1 time every 6 months. And now it's natural for me to be happy. Now my default setting is happiness and abundance. And that came from practicing gratitude when I was in a state that I didn't feel like it. And now, yes, there are still days, once in a while where I'll get that whole woe is me. Everyone gets that. But I can get out of it in 2 minutes. In fact, I learned from my mentor, Tony Robbins, that with every situation, you can solve it or lead yourself toward the answer in 2 minutes using gratitude. So let me show you what I learned from him. Close your eyes. Unless you're driving right now, actually do this so you can get the most out of this call. Close your eyes. And I want you to think of a problem that stresses you out on a scale of 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, probably 7 or higher. Think of a problem that stresses you out on a scale of 1 to 10 at 7 or higher. It can be your job, sure. It can be your business, sure. Anything. It can be your kids. Pick a problem and keep your eyes closed. And actually do this with me, as cheesy as it sounds, just trust me on this. Close your eyes, put both hands on your heart. And I want you to take a breath, not just a deep breath, but a deep breath and imagine it going into your heart. Take a deep breath and picture the air going into your heart. And just imagine it, taking a deep breath into your heart, and keep doing it and feel the power of it. Feel your heart beating right now. Your heart beats 100,000 times a day without you having to work for it. As long as this thing beats, you're alive. This is a gift. You didn't have to work for it. God, the universe, whatever you believe in, thought enough of you to give you a gift of life the second you were born. So take a second with your eyes closed and just feel so grateful that you have this thing beating in you right now. And just feel the gratitude of that for a second. And with your eyes closed and your hands in your heart, go back to a memory in your life. A moment, any stage, any time in your life that you can be deeply grateful for. Was it when you got married? Was it when you had your first kid? What is it for you? And instead of seeing that moment from the outside, I want you to step into that moment like you're there. Relive that memory. Breathe the same way you did then. Feel the exact same emotions you felt then. Put yourself back in that situation and relive that experience for a second and just feel so grateful for that memory. And just feel it and take it into your heart and just breathe deep and welcome that feeling of gratitude into your heart. Now let's do this for a second memory with your eyes closed. Pick a second memory. Was it your wedding day? What is it for you? Pick that memory and go back, and instead of seeing it from the outside, step back into that moment like you're there, like it's happening right in front of you. Relive it. Breathe the same way you did then. Feel the same emotions you felt then. And relive that experience for a second and feel so grateful for that memory. Keep your eyes closed. And now think of a coincidence. What's a coincidence in your life that you can be grateful for? You were in line at Starbucks and you met the love of your life, right? You were in the basement at a friend's house playing Guitar Hero and your future wife just happens to be there. That's what happened for me. What's it for you? Last minute you switch colleges and you meet your best friend, right? You happen to go totally broke and you discover Beachbody, right? What's the coincidence in your life that you can feel grateful for? What did it lead to? And it's really beautiful when we realize, with your eyes closed, think about this. It's so beautiful when we realize that life is always happening for us and not to us. And take a second and feel so grateful that it happened and breathe into your heart and feel the gratitude from all these experiences like they're piling on top of each other. And you just feel so grateful for this amazing gift of life that you have. And when you're there and you feel that gratitude with your eyes remaining closed and your hands on your heart, now think about that stressful moment you thought about a second ago, that 7 out of 10 or higher. And repeat these words to yourself in this total state of gratitude. In this situation, all I have to do is blank. In this situation, all I need to say is blank. In this situation, all I need to be is blank. Because when you live in gratitude, your heart already knows the answer to your most challenging problems. You just solved your stressor or found direction in a challenging situation in 2 minutes. That is the power of genuine gratitude. That is how much it can help you build your business and life to the size of your dreams. That's how you can feel genuine happiness and eliminate negative self-talk on a day-to-day basis. You can open your eyes, But that's what you're really after, right? You want to feel genuine happiness. Your business doesn't cause genuine happiness. Your business is a vehicle bringing you toward a better life. But your better life can be lived right now. This is one shot at life. Real talk, right? Most people go through life trying to stay safe and they never really go for it. You are not that person. Life could change at any time. You have one chance in this world and you're not going to have all the answers before you go for it. If you wait for the answers, you'll be waiting forever. But your clock on life is ticking. And at any moment, it could run out. You can't control the length of your life, but you can control its depth and its meaning. You were not put here to experience mediocrity. You were put here to feel fully alive and experience every second on a day-to-day basis. So you have to take your pain and make it mean something great. Without the screaming matches I witnessed almost every single day as a kid, I wouldn't be nearly as loving to her as I am right now. Without the horrible imprint of money in my life, I wouldn't have learned how to live with an abundant mindset and how to attract money and people and opportunities in the way that I have. Without the constant feeling of mediocrity that I felt every day and the depressing episodes sitting on the couch feeling sorry for myself, I wouldn't have created this hunger, this drive, this passion for creating something amazing and changing lives. Without being so confused by my mom's way of showing love and the only way she knew how at the time, I wouldn't have craved acceptance. I wouldn't have ever learned to be a speaker. I wouldn't have followed my passion. I wouldn't be living my passion. I wouldn't have learned how to forgive. I wouldn't have the loving relationship with my mom that I have now. If your life was exactly as you wanted it to be when you were growing up, if your life never went through those painful parts, if the people in your life were the perfect version you haven't forgiven them for not becoming. Let me repeat that. If your people in your life were the perfect version that you haven't forgiven them for not becoming, you wouldn't be the gift of a person you are today. You wouldn't be able to make the impact you're able to make today. You went through those experiences for a reason. They were crafting you. They were molding you. They were sculpting you into the person you are today. Those memories, those people, that person, that one person was exactly who you needed them to be. They played the exact role they needed to play. What they did might not have been easy, but it wasn't wrong. It was exactly what it needed to be to create you. So be grateful that you went through it, because you wouldn't be the person you're proud to be today without it. So as we close here, I want you to imagine that you're 85 years old looking back at your life, just sitting on the front porch, drinking some sweet tea with your husband or wife. Just picture yourself in the situation right now. And you see your grandkids riding by on their bikes, just starting out their journey. What do you want to feel as you close that chapter on your life? Do you want to regret never fully going for it, from mastering your mindset and being victim to negative self-talk? Do you want to regret that? Or do you want to smile and be grateful for the life that you live? There's no guarantees that you're going to live to be 85 to experience that. You could die tomorrow, like I said. So really think about this. If this tonight were your last night on earth, look in my eyes when I say this. If this was your last night on earth, how would you feel about the way that you've lived up until now? Death is one of the greatest teachers in life. I learned this from Michael Singer. Imagine for a second that death was a person and it came to you tonight and it said, dude, it's time to go. And you asked death for another week so you could really enjoy it and experience genuine fulfillment and live like you're dying, so to speak. Death would laugh at you and say, no, dude, I gave you 25, 35, 45 years to enjoy your life. You chose not to. Sorry, it's time to go. So if you're in that spot on your front porch, watching your grandkids on their bikes, picture yourself. If you continue living the same way you've been living, are you genuinely happy in that moment? Are you smiling? Are you living your authentic truth? Or are you wishing you could be starting a chapter over again like your grandkids are, because you never quite went for it? You always held back. You always let negative self-talk control you. You said no to playing all out in this gift of life. While I can't fast forward to that moment and have a guarantee that it ended up that way for you, the way that you want it, you can remember that the clock on life is ticking and you never know when it's going to run out. So when is now a good time to live in happiness? You weren't put on this earth to suffer, and you weren't put on this earth to always be dominated by negative self-talk. Actually ask yourself this. If this were your last night here, would you worry about the little grudges or complaints? Would you worry about the bank account or what your friends said to you? Would you worry about little stuff Like the way your spouse unloaded the dishwasher? Would you worry about why your business isn't where you want it to be? Would you worry about hitting your monthly benchmarks? Would that be fair to you to cause all that stress? Would it be fair to limit your abilities and beliefs because of insignificant things like that? Not one bit. Why not live every week like you would that last week? How would every interaction with your client, your spouse, your family be different if this were your last week? How would you love your family? How would you hold your husband or wife? How would you love them? What would you say to them? How would you look at your 3-week-old baby boy? How would you play with your dog? How would you greet your business partners? How would you handle the word no? How would you make your interactions mean something? Would you make those memories last a couple heartbeats longer instead of being so rushed all the time? What if you took a second to remember the imprint of your wife's head on your chest? What if you can still feel your daughter's arms wrapped around you all day long? What if you learned to make a memory out of everything in your life and appreciate and love every waking second? What memories would you leave with those around you? What words of wisdom would you share with your son or daughter? What would you say to your parents? Would you forgive your parents? Would you tell them you love them? How would you make your wife feel? What would you say to her? What last phone calls would you make? How would you leave your legacy and your smile here when you left? So don't fear that situation. The end of your life is simply just used for perspective in this call, but it's coming. And the only reason we fear that is because we crave life. And life is a choice that we have every single day. It's how you answer those questions I just asked. That's life. So why not live every week like you would that last week? Why not play all out in this thing called life? Who would you uplift? What soul could you touch? What legacy would you leave? What words would you make sure someone remembers? How would you hold her? How would you kiss him? How would you play all out in everything that you do? Imagine how your life would be so different if you lived every single day that way. You are exactly where you need to be to learn what you need to learn, to live the life you're meant to live. And when you see it that way and you're grateful for the lesson, amazing things will start happening. Imagine the legacy of passion and love and happiness that you'd leave in the world. You learned the start of how to create that tonight. So remember, this gift of life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. So Lindsay, that's all I have tonight. And I'd love to turn it back over to you and take any questions or anything and just talk it out.
Well, you almost made me cry off my lashes. So yeah, I don't know about anybody else, but I was totally tearing up, especially, the memories and stuff. And as you went through everything, and I've done that exercise with Tony before, but different ones came up for me. And one of them was having my 3-week-old son. So I'm like, too many hormones raging through this body to do those exercises. But seriously, guys, not one thing was about rig advancing. Not one thing was about Shakeology. Not one thing was about, and I think, Brad, this is probably why you and I have always, just gotten each other, because this business is so much more than those things. Those things are a part of it, and they are blessings in their own right. But it really is about knowing what at the end of the day is most important to you. And I think for me, legacy has always been huge. And I do quite often think about myself at the end of my life. Maybe that's because I've lost some pretty significant people. And for some of you guys, you haven't gotten there yet, but you're so right. Death is a great teacher and can sound morbid, but it's one of the only definites in this life is that it's going to end at some point. And I do feel like that sense of urgency to make the most of it. And I hope that going through those exercises brings up that sense of urgency, not to be because it's morbid and thinking about the end of your life all the time. But I do think you're right. Every single day is a gift. And it's easy to say that and be like, every single day is a gift. And kind of like you were saying with the gratitude thing, it's easy to just be like, oh, I'm so grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my home. But like, think of specifics. And one of the things that one of the guys at Summit spoke about, Sean Anker, was just instead, if you're going to challenge yourself to take what Brad gives you today and talk about and focus on the things that you're grateful for. Don't repeat the same 3 things. Think of 3 new things every single day and have them be so specific. Have them be one of those memories that he brought up. Like, what if we spent the next 30 days or the rest of the days in July? I guess there's about 30 days. So there's 30 days left in July. If we spend the next 30 days focused on pulling up 2 or 3 memories that we can be super grateful for, or things in the moment that we can be super grateful for, my gosh, all of our whole life would change. And you were so right. Like the thing that I thought of when I was thinking at the end, that my answer did come like immediately. And so that's just it's so true. And it is really a big part of how and why I've been able to push past guys, I had so many barriers, so many bad limiting beliefs. And he's right that all those things ended up being the gift. It used to be my story of why I couldn't do it. And then I realized, whoa, that story was given to me to be able to empower other people, because sometimes you're the answer to the prayer that someone else is putting out there. And when you release that, when you stop letting it be all about you, because we can typically, when we're holding ourselves back, it's because we're being selfish and focusing on self so much. When you get rid of yourself and you start to focus on how can this be a blessing or make somebody else feel connected, somebody else feel important, we take ourselves out of the mix, the power that it has over us is gone. And the more we put that out there, and I guess probably in coaching, the reason why we talk so much about how important it is to be vulnerable and share some of the struggles in your life is because it releases the power, the stronghold it has over you. And as you were speaking, Brad, like a quote from Les Brown popped in my head, and he talks about that so many people are making a settlement in life. And, for those of you who like know court terms, a settlement is people going to court over something. Let's say they're suing somebody because they did something wrong to them. They settle out of court because they're not fully confident that if they go all the way, that it'll be worth it or that they'll win. And so they settle, they take the guarantee. And so many of us, in so many ways, are settling on our life because we're taking the guarantee because we're not sure, we're not fully confident that we'll actually win and that it'll be worth it. But let me say from the other side, it is so freaking worth it. It's so worth it, not just in a way of financial stuff, in a way of significance, in a way of legacy, like being able, the reason why it makes me emotional thinking about my son is that these 3 children that I've had will not have the life I grew up with. That is beyond, like, that is what gives me purpose, is to know that I fulfilled that. And there's some of you guys that are back against the wall type of scenarios, and you have got to step it up and stop settling, because you are worth it. You're worth going all the way for, and so are they. And my gosh, it's just the best feeling ever to get to the other side and know that you're You're already set up to win. If you know anything about anything, it's like you were born, the possibility of you even being born is like ridiculously slim. You were put here for a reason. You're on this call at almost 9 o'clock Eastern time on a Monday. You're not here because you're somebody who settles. So stop letting those things hold you back. Brad, thank you so much. That was so powerful. I hope that you guys will go and do this activity over and over and over again. You'll take my challenge. You'll take Sean Anker's challenge, which is to focus on those 3 different things that you're grateful for. And then go and bless somebody else. Another thing that he challenged us to is send out to one new person every single day for the next 30 days. One person that's made an impact on your life in a positive way. Let them know. So often we think these things, but we never share it with that other person. And I'm doing this myself, by the way. Every single day, sending an email or a text to someone that I haven't talked to, or maybe someone I do talk to, but I haven't necessarily let them know fully what the impact they've made on my life has been. Go and share that with them, because that could be the one thing they need to feel the power to go and stop settling as well. So anyway, appreciate you so much. Seriously, I'm so proud of you. That was amazing. And I will see you guys again. We're going to start doing the first Monday of the month because of the switch up instead of the last Monday. And we'll continue to rock and roll. I hope you guys have an amazing, incredible week ahead. Brad, thank you again. And I will see you all very, very soon.